Hello there and welcome to Sporty Live on SportyTV. It is all about the preview of the final of the ongoing European Championships known as Euro 2024. My name is Victor Godfrey and I'm in the company of greatness. But of course, later on today's show, we do have a special guest, wink wink. Now, of course, you can be a part of this conversation on social media, X, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and of course, TikTok. Follow and or subscribe and let us know your thoughts. It's the big game. It is Spain taking on England. Of course, I'm joined in the studio with, by some incredible individuals. I do have with me Ade and Femi. Now, guys, we've been talking about this, different permutations. I know Ade will be tilting towards England. Same with Femi, but I'm going with the La Roja of Spain. I feel that they have what it takes to get it done.
All of a sudden, I'm not a mind reader, right?
But Femi, who did you pick during the draws last year?
You know the funny thing? So last year, well, before we started the Euros, I picked England.
You did?
When we did the start of tournament flow, I said the final would be Spain and France.
Well, due to the permutations,
so it just means that both times I got one of the teams in the final.
Can you just boast about your prediction skills, have you?
Okay. I want you to know.
I'm still the king of predictions.
No,
But Ade, your thoughts on that, though?
I'm certainly not the king of predictions because I didn't pick either of these two teams to progress this far. No,
Who was your final?
I thought Germany or France would win this tournament.
Wow.
I really did. I thought the France team was fully loaded. In terms of a squad of players, I thought it had everything. A manager that knows how to win as well. And I just thought maybe France would be too good. I wasn't sure about Spain. I wasn't sure how Yamal was going to play. I wasn't sure how Nico Williams was going to play. Those surprised me. And England have been a bit fortunate with the draw. Let's be honest. They've been on the side of the draw.
But they had the same thing in 2018.
Yeah, they've not had to play Germany or France to get to this stage.
True.
So beating Switzerland or the Netherlands, plaudits to Gareth Southgate. But it isn't like this team that have beaten France, Germany, and even Italy in the group stages and Croatia. So they've deserved to be.
And that was that thing. There was that thing you said about football. Like you beat who's in front of you.
Yeah, it's true.
And if you don't beat that person, you don't go to the next stage. Now, you spoke about 2018. England beat every team in front of them. Imagine if England stumbled against
the luck of the draw against Colombia.
No, but we've seen teams get knocked out to small. Portugal lost in this tournament to Georgia. So we've seen games where teams have lost, but England have beaten everyone put in front of them.
True.
There's a lot of expectation on the manager. And despite all the criticism, all the talks from the media, from former players, they haven't gone on a war of saying we're going to fight the media. Instead, we'll focus on the football.
Agreed.
The players on the bench.
But Kane had a bit of a bite back one time.
No,
Kane had a bite back to Sara and
dig.
Lineker as well.
Jude Bellingham, they've had digs.
I think Bellingham had the most. What Kane said was, look, these former players have been here before. They won this jersey. They know how heavy it is. Give us the opportunity to walk. And they have shown that. The players on the bench, Victor, very quickly. And that's why I give the manager credit. People said, oh, his substitutions are late, doesn't know when to do it tactically. He's brought those players, and what have they done? Taken advantage.
He's been lucky.
Tony took advantage.
Even Ivan Toney coming on for 1 minute.
That was luck?
Ivan Toney, that was
He gave the assist for the winner.
Ivan Toney got upset, didn't he? He swore at the manager as he's coming on, like, I won't repeat what he said. Even he was like, you giving me a minute to do something?
Wow.
I don't know, man.
Well, he did something in 1 minute.
Yeah.
Don't you need a bit of luck to win a competition? That's kind of how it works. I mean, the semi-finals against Netherlands, that was a very soft penalty.
He got it right. Yeah.
Was it a soft penalty?
That was
you can argue for and against. And look, I think the conversation has happened from two different angles. Defenders see it as a soft penalty. Attackers, because all the attackers I know, Alan Shearer said that's a penalty. Jamie Carragher said that's not a penalty. Because from a defender's point of view, you're trying to block the shot. But from a striker's point of view, it's the follow through. And if that was outside the box, it's a foul.
But there were even pictures of Saka appearing to handle the ball before it fell down to the path of Kane. So potentially that would have been ruled off for a handball.
No, at this point, it sounded like I'm going to become a PR person.
You are a PR person for England, obviously.
It touched the body of Saka first.
His hand.
It touched the body first before it went to the hand. That's not a penalty. Or that's not a
question.
Foul.
Would that not be a free kick anywhere else on the pitch? What Saka did?
No, but
you'd get blown.
If it touches your hand, your body and your hand, that's a handball.
It's a handball.
No.
It doesn't cancel anything else.
It's a handball. It's a handball.
But again, like you said, a bit of luck. But let's even break it down to the overall performance. I feel England have hit the peak performance against the Netherlands, and that's good because they're now in form, because I felt Foden and everybody turned up for that game. Mourinho has been amazing. But for the Spanish, like we've mentioned, they have been performing at the highest level up until from day one down to the semi-finals against France.
Well, I thought there are games where they did not look as sharp as we thought.
Germany?
Germany, good example, because the Germans could have qualified for the next phase if they're taking the chance. Nicholas Füllkrug, Kai Havertz. Now, Havertz got into positions, and Havertz has been there, done that before. Champions League, everyone talks about Chelsea. I was a bit disappointed with what he did. Fulkrug as well, he hit the woodwork and really tested the goalkeeper. If they had taken their chances, they would have gone through. But I thought what Spain did was they did the long game. And credit to the manager also, understanding and believing in his players, because he brought players who made the difference. Mourinho in the previous round, in the semi-final game, it was France. Everyone says, oh, France have got the best defense. And he made a mess of it, despite going down. So it just shows monster mentality that, look, when we get to this stage, and that's why I agree with Ade, they've got character. Despite going down, no, Spain.
Spanish,
despite
okay.
going down, they came back and beat France. I never thought France would lose that game, because I felt my money was on France to make it to the final. But after what Spain did to them, I think England will learn a lesson and know that, look, we have to be a bit dynamic, change it a bit. If we pack the bus and wait for them, they will come at us. So we need to find a way to push them back. And since Southgate has found a way to play 2-10s, I think England are good for it.
You agree with that?
Absolutely not.
You do?
No. I don't agree with England being... I don't know if this England side is dynamic enough. And sometimes it doesn't come down to the coaches, it comes down to the players. I think there was a lot of talk in the previous Euros about Gareth Southgate not changing it up. And I wanted to see the players take it upon themselves to change it up. And I look at this Spanish team and I almost look at Rodri as a manager on the pitch. And we've seen it with Pep. We've seen Pep kind of just let him do the team talk because he knows he's almost got a captain, similar to Roy Keane and Sir Alex Ferguson. I don't look at this England squad. Who is the vocal member of this England squad when things get bad? Are we relying on a young Jude Bellingham? Because Kane doesn't talk. Are we relying on Declan Rice? I just need to hear more from the England players. Then I'll see. But look, it's going to be a fascinating game.
Let's focus on the battles now, the battles in key areas for this final. In midfield especially, because we've seen big teams dominate games from the midfield. Key players have always come from that position, especially with France. And Kante, he has been fantastic. But the final now, you have Rodri. You have versus either Foden/Bellingham. You can even, chuck in a young minor in there as well. Your thoughts on that battle in midfield, and how key it will be for the victors of the final?
Massive. It's massive. Fabian Ruiz as well, alongside Rodri.
Even Dani Olmo can also get into that mix as well.
Can go into that position as well. We've seen. That's the key position for me. You win that battle, you've got a chance. Rodri doesn't lose that battle. He's never lost that battle.
What about Bellingham? Bellingham is a very strong presence.
He is.
But he has actually been I'll be very honest. Certain games you'll be like, is he even on the pitch?
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes it's not just about running around and putting out fires. Do something. And we haven't seen that with Jude now for maybe 4 or 5 months. I know we saw the bicycle kick and congratulations for the tournament, but we need to see a bit more. I think the key battle is on the wings. Honestly, I look at Saka against Cucurella, and the way Saka's starting to light it up, I'm thinking this is England's best chance. That's the opportunity right there. If Saka gets one-on-one against Cucurella, I think he destroys him. That's the battle.
I agree with him when he talks about that area of the field, because look, we've seen in previous games. So this is Jude's goal in the opening game against Serbia.
But I think it's a key movement of Saka as well.
Everything's coming down that side.
This is the job Saka does on that angle in terms of creating opportunities, pulling defenders towards him. But I think the most important thing is the sort of support he gets from Walker behind him, or whoever plays in that position. Because look, you've got to press the other fullback to make sure the winger also comes back to defend. So there's no room for a quick counter because you've got Nico Williams. If Nico Williams picks the ball, a counter starts on the other end. So what does Walker do? So I agree with him. That position is key. The other angle is also very important.
Yamal versus Shaw.
Exactly. So that's
potentially Shaw, because I would imagine anyone that would start for England.
I'd go Shaw. Shaw creates some form of balance and a natural left-sided wing back. So it's good for England.
But Yamal versus Shaw, though, because, we've seen Yamal very tricky, very pacey, full of confidence. He's in fine form. And, of course, Shaw, he's been out for so long with injuries. Question marks to if he can mark
the first thing I advise Shaw is don't talk about this thing. Don't talk about the battle. Keep quiet. Learn from Rabiot. Don't say anything. Just keep quiet. Wait for the game. Look, Shaw has been there, done that. He's got loads of experience. I remember Arsenal at their peak 2 seasons ago, and Shaw was up against Saka. What he do? Stayed there, stayed very close to him. So you're going to have to stay very close to Yamal because Yamal is tricky. You said quick, fast, and turn.
So he should work with experience than trying to beat him for pace.
Yes,
work with experience. You're not going to beat him for pace. My concern is this is you mentioned against Arsenal. That was almost a fit Shaw, peak Shaw. Shaw coming into his own. This is a Shaw, let's be honest, who's not fit. And so far, Gareth's given him 45 minutes, 60 minutes here and there. To come up against arguably the player of the tournament, a 16-year-old that's going to test your legs from the very beginning, it's a big ask. It's a big ask for him to come in.
What would you have preferred? him going for Trippier in that position ahead of Shaw?
Yeah.
Really? But Trippier is also question marks about his fitness.
I would do what he's done in the last couple of games. He's almost given them a half each.
Yeah.
He's almost given them a half each. When England need to stretch it, sure. When they need to sit back a bit, Trippier maybe can handle the pace of Yamal a little better.
Yeah.
But you know, with Yamal, it's one of those players, you're going to get skinned.
True.
You're going to get destroyed. It's going to happen. It's almost a given.
True.
So you can't be downhearted by that. And England have got two experienced players in that position, I think, to deal with it.
I think it's also very important to mention that when we talk about the fullbacks and the challenges they've got, the central midfielders or the central holding midfielders
have to also come and assists.
And I mentioned this because I remember the game was against Switzerland, England's game. Now, it was Jude Bellingham and Declan Rice. They both moved out. That created that goal for Brilliant Bolo. They have to concentrate. You need to understand that these guys don't play. Everyone can score. We saw what Olmo did against Germany. That little space. Yamal sees that run.
Against France
right. Yamal sees that run. So beyond Yamal going to score, Yamal can create. And all these players understand. Fabian Ruiz understands. He's shown it already. Rodri has shown it. Olmo has shown it. Pedro, when he was there, has shown it. So I think they have to be switched on. We saw the same thing against the Netherlands. Rice sort of switched off. And that small moment was when Xavi Simons picked it up.
So let's talk about the battle on the other side of the pitch now. You have Williams and Walker. Walker is one for pace. I mean, amazingly, at his age, he's still very fast. So
34.
you can say he can contend with, Nico Williams. But we've seen this before with Walker. He gets beaten easily and tries to use his pace to recover. He did that against Real Madrid. And, of course, we know what happened with Vinicius Junior, just beating him for pace and destroying City from that flank. He can't try that in the final, obviously, against Spain. He has to be very, very turned on.
He's almost got more backup now. Now that it's a free.
But Rodri was in that team with Walker. He had Rodri in midfield as well.
In terms of now it's a free. Stones can go. Saka now is playing right wing back. He's defensively minded from his time at Arsenal, playing as a left back, so he can drop in as well if needed. And he's smart. One thing that I don't think we give Walker credit for is his experience. And you ask the likes of Mbappe and Neymar, they've done sit-down interviews. Who is your toughest competitor?
Walker.
Because we know physically he's tough. He'll go against Nico Williams for pace. But one thing he's got over Nico Williams is experience.
Oh, yeah.
And one thing we haven't really seen with Nico Williams so far in this tournament, he's good at going forward. What's he like on the back foot? So as long as Saka and Kyle Walker can push him that way, the energy going this way won't be as much. So I'm more okay with that side. Saka, John Stones, Kyle Walker. It's the other side that gives me heart palpitations, if I'm honest with you.
But Cucurella has also shown certain areas of weaknesses as well. So perhaps to add to your point of view, I think that will be a lot more easier for England to have a pathway to attack from that angle.
I can't believe I'm agreeing with this, but
it's our first time. We said we're going to agree on one.
Everything comes good.
Now, of course, with the injury to Pedro, of course, Dani Olmo will be the man, more or less, in that creative hub for the Spaniards. And he did a great job against France. He was actually very impressive. I was impressed, even against Germany, giving the assist for the winning goal. But he has a certain Declan Rice, who has also been a quiet and smooth operator for England so far.
You know, I think that they don't give Dani Olmo enough credit in terms of the sort of experience he's got.
And he's wearing number 10 too.
Yeah, he's a young footballer, right? But he's played football at the highest level. He's been checked the number of caps for Spain, number of times been called up. I was a bit surprised he didn't make the starting 11, but then when you see what they put forward, you can understand. He got his opportunity and he took it. Not only did he take it, he took it very well. That all of a sudden, there are stories that he could be one of the players of the tournament as well.
He could be.
So that just tells you how good the Spanish team is. You've got players on the bench who could come in. He's good in terms of transition going forward. When they don't have the ball, he offers support as well for the midfield. And it's those pockets of space, how he picks those spaces to just run into. The game against Germany, scored one, created the second. The vision, you've got someone like Rudiger, for you to still plant that ball just there for Mourinho, tells you understand your teammates. There's this sort of connection. I know Victor will run into this channel. This is how he wants the ball. Now, we see this a lot for club footballers, because we practice every day. But these Spanish players are playing like they've been together for ages.
For 9 months, exactly, yeah.
And funny, many of them haven't even played together for, 3 months or 6 months, right? Because we've seen a lot of... Yamal wasn't a part of this team last year. He just walked into this team.
1 second. He's talking, and I'm telling you now, he's convincing himself that Spain are going to win this. He started with England winning it, but what you're saying now is convincing himself.
I think both of you are still on the fence. I know you have the hope that England wins.
I have a hope that England wins.
But both of you are still on the fence.
The more he talks, he convinces me Spain have...
I'm talking about, you're talking about the amazing ability of Olmo. What about Declan Rice, though?
I'm trying to convince you how amazing these two teams have got. The players, what they have done. You guys have spoken about Jude Bellingham. I think Bellingham has been a very good player in this tournament. He's had to sacrifice. When I say good player,
you have to explain that.
We've seen Bellingham in 2 different phases. We saw him at Dortmund more as a central deep line
box to box.
We've seen him at Real Madrid more advanced. Now we expect him to always advance and score. Right? However, in this tournament, what he's done is he's offered support in midfield. He's offered support going forward. He's done both of them. He's not flamboyant enough, but he's done the job every single time. For someone to play 120 minutes consistently without being substituted tells you what he offers, the energy, the hunger. He wants to win at every time, and I like it.
All right, let's talk about Rice now. Can he be that kryptonite to the Superman of Olmo?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
he can. I mean, there's almost, like you were saying about Jude Bellingham, and there have been 2 versions of Jude Bellingham, the Dortmund and the Real Madrid. There's 2 versions now of Declan Rice. There's the West Ham Declan Rice that was just a sitter and put out all the fires. And now the Arsenal Declan Rice is a bit more, number 8.
Adventurous,
scoring.
yeah.
He needs to be the Declan Rice West Ham. So that Rice that was West Ham for 4 years, the one that won them a European tournament, the one that got him the move to Arsenal, be that guy for 90 minutes. That's all we ask you to do, is put out those fires that you're going to get from Olmo, you're going to get it from Lamar coming in, you're going to get it from Nico Williams, and he can do that. Declan Rice has been a solid 7 the whole tournament. I needed to see it elevate to an 8 or 9. Everyone's going to have to go up at one point in this game for England to win. If you think you're going to stay at this level and play the same way against the Netherlands and Switzerland against this giant, it's not going to happen. But Declan Rice can certainly do it. And Declan Rice is still a goal for it. He's still a goal for it. I know we haven't seen it. We saw him when he had that wonderful shot, didn't we? And Jude Bellingham put his arm around him. As if to say more of that. But Declan Rice at West Ham can definitely do a job on Olmo.
So I don't want to say this, but I'm just a bit concerned because I just mentioned 2 games. I've noticed that all of a sudden concentration levels are dropping from Declan Rice's position. Right?
Can we attribute that to fatigue? Because England have been
I was going to go to fatigue, yes.
They have been stretched in these games,
because England had gone to extra time a couple of times already, right? So there's this sort of concern, what it does to the mind. Declan Rice twice, in 2 key moments, I realized it's your position. You have to hope, because look, I have to do my job well and hope that if somebody's going to, if Gray is going to cover for me, he's mopping up whatever mistake I've made, very easy mistakes. But you gave Xavi Simon the opportunity to run at goal. You gave, what's his name? Vargas the opportunity to create for Mbolo. These are concerns that Declan Rice cannot do in the final.
Sorry to interrupt. I think that's almost because of the change in formation. So it's a case of, okay, who's actually helping me and who's supposed to be where? You look at him and at the start of the tournament, it's okay, Jude's next to me.
But it was supposed to be Trent, though. Trent was supposed to be beside him, but Trent was just...
So it's a different... It's been... Remember, the group stages, the group stages are different midfielder every week. It was Conor Gallagher, it was Trent, it was Kobe. It's like, okay, who's doing what, guys? Now you're telling Saka to play as a right wing back. Okay, does that mean Saka supports me? Is Jude or Foden going to come into the... I think Declan's been the only person that's not moved position, really, in this tournament.
But
and
this
he needs
is where
assistance.
his leadership qualities come in. If you're going to work with Rodri, so just switching into Rodri, Rodri will talk to his midfielders, you come here, go here, you come for it, go there. And England has had midfielders like this before, the Gerrards, the Lampards,
But then again, you know when you have that level of talent, egos, you can tell Gerrard,
you're working
Lampard,
with Kobe Mainoo
moves him,
beside
no,
you.
don't tell me that.
Kobe, I need you to stay.
Okay.
I'm going forward. One person, I stay, you go, or you go, I stay. One person must communicate, and because you're the more senior player, you talk to him. I'm going to move, Kyrian, you need to move a little closer, or I'm going to move closer to you. So once you lose the ball, or once you need to run into space, I'm going to help you, because he can pick a pass. Now, I think they give a lot of job to the back 3 to do, because a lot of time we've seen Walker mop up, we've seen Guehi mop up. They're putting pressure because you are the last line for the defense. So if you don't offer that, you have to pay attention. And that's my only concern for Declan Rice. I think he's a good player, but you need to stay awake. For Spain, you probably need to drink whatever.
Because we've seen Olmo drifting in late moments of games and make a difference. And like you mentioned, if he slips in his concentration levels, that's big trouble for England.
It's interesting, though, because this is Declan Rice's first tournament as the senior England midfielder. That role was Jordan Henderson. Jordan Henderson was the guy that used to be the one that screamed and shouted. So Declan almost used to just play my game. Because I know I've got a leader in Jordan that's telling everyone what to do. This is the first tournament he's come into where now he is the senior midfielder. Kobe Mainoo's only got 8-9 caps. Jude Bellingham experience has only got 20 plus caps. All of a sudden, you're the guy in the midfield that's got 30, 40, and you're the experienced one. Whereas Jordan Henderson beside him had nearly 70, 80 caps. So now it's a different Declan Rice and it's a different role. And maybe that's probably why we're seeing him lose concentration a few times, because he's now having to construct and move players around like he's never had to do before because Jordan Henderson has been there.
Now, this is a position we don't talk about very often, especially with big games. But I would love to say this. In the case it goes to penalty shootouts between Pickford and, of course, Unai Simon, the Spanish goalkeeper.
I'm taking Pickford every day. If it
On
goes out there,
penalties.
I'm taking Pickford every day. Look, it's one thing
You know Pickford is not the tallest goalkeeper.
Look, and that's the thing.
And
In
doesn't have the longest
2018, I
arms, by the way.
remember he spoke about how being one of the little goalkeepers, but very quick off his feet. And that's what gives him advantage.
Spring.
He can sprint, he can jump. We saw the penalty shootout. I was pretty shocked because England, I would have picked my money for England to get knocked out in that penalty shootout. But remember, we spoke about the coaching staff, the sort of experience they've got. Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank
Has been a
part of that.
massive, yes.
So that tells you what the strikers need to do. But for the goalkeeping department, you've got loads of technical people who tell you what to do. There's enough knowledge.
I think Hitton also is there just
Yeah.
added to just
And you
give
know, he loves the moment. He's arrogant, he's cocky, he's very self-assured. He'll almost do the dark arts, the little cheating where he takes a few more seconds, he apologizes to the player, he looks at you, he says things, he talks to you. It all helps.
Exactly.
You're looking at these 1% things when it comes to putting a player off, and he does that in a way we haven't seen an England goalkeeper for years.
Yeah.
So as much as I'm not the biggest Pickford fan, because I'm Liverpool and he's Everton.
There
that's
we
the only reason.
go.
That's the only reason why. Apart from that, he's a
But
fantastic
we've
goalkeeper.
had great England goalkeepers fail at penalty shootouts, like Peter Shilton is one of them. Seaman is one of them. David James.
None with
Foster.
the characteristics.
Paul
Pickford
Robinson
have.
as well, yeah.
Pickford's character's so different. And you hear the England players speak about it. They're doing this magnificent England in the camp thing with my good friend Josh Denzi. And he always tells me about the way the players speak about Pickford. It's almost though he's a character beyond the characters that we see as goalkeepers. So I think he will relish it. He'll almost want the challenge. Okay, penalties, me versus you, let's go. And he'll want to do it.
You know, just going to add beyond penalties, I also think the leader Ade talks about, that is a good character.
That's for Pickford, yeah?
Pickford, that's someone who's screaming at the defenders that, look, you need to stay close. You can see him communicating. That sort of words, and that's why it's a bit wrong to get your goalkeeper as your captain because it won't get to the front. But you need someone who can pass the message of what the captain is saying. That guy says a lot.
But we've seen Pickford make the most of very simple saves.
To err is human,
just very
Victor.
simple.
To err is human.
He knows the camera's running.
Yeah.
You need that Instagram post.
Yeah.
He knows what he's doing.
What about, but Unai Simon is actually a very good goalkeeper as well. I mean, to come into a team whereby De Gea was supposed to be the next big goalkeeper, to bench De Gea, of course, the legacy of Spanish goalkeepers is remarkable. Casillas, Zubi Barreta, it goes all the way back. And Unai Simon has just been very, I mean, you watch the game against Germany, he made some really fantastic saves to keep the Spaniards in the game.
Yeah, he probably doesn't get spoken.
Yeah, he doesn't get the
Yeah, when you talk
spotlight.
about one of the best goalkeepers in the world, he doesn't get
he's a
mentioned.
good
What does he play for again?
That's, yeah.
Athletic Bilbao.
Bilbao, eh?
Look,
Who does Pickford play for? Come on, you're talking about.
The reason, no. You guys are trying to take him one level higher. I think
No, I'm just saying.
I think he's a decent goalkeeper. He
So
doesn't.
you will pick Pickford over Unai Simon as a
I
goalkeeper?
will. Oh yes, I will.
Not even about penalties. Like,
Yes,
you
I
start
will.
in 11, you pick him
yes,
over
I
him.
will. Because look, Simon has got a mistake in him as well, waiting. They both have inconsistencies. It's been proven. I just look at the bench of Spain. I look at the goalkeepers, and I don't see this sort of.
Raya is...
I don't
yes,
see
never
the
read.
quality.
Never
I don't
read.
see
Never
it.
read.
No.
Good goalkeeper.
But you started by talking about the history. You mentioned
Casillas,
Casillas,
Reina,
there was Canizares during Casillas,
Canizares,
there was
yeah, exactly.
Cesar.
Valdez
Those are not the
was in-
goalkeepers on the bench. So automatically, the person who is just above the
But
red.
Raya is a good goalkeeper for
I
Arsenal.
think Raya's a fantastic goalkeeper.
He had a good season.
Was
Golden Glove, Femi.
fantastic. Yeah, but selling
Okay,
it.
look, he's not Allison and Edison.
Yeah.
But these are two solid goalkeepers.
You
They're
guys
not,
remember
they're not
the-
the best, but they're solid.
If you remember, the last two goalkeepers who kept the Golden Gloves were Spanish goalkeepers. One was
De
David
Gea
Luiz
and
well.
Raya as well.
I'm just saying that, so don't sell the idea of what was going to be better.
Maybe I went too far with fantastic.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, too far.
Now let's talk about the managers. I know we've spoken about this a lot. He made the headlines for changing his iconic waistcoat to a more relaxed look. And it seems to have worked out because I was thinking to myself, the reason why England haven't been playing well is because he wasn't wearing the waistcoat. But Southgate has been good. His changes have been good. But also De La Fuente has also done a good job as well for Spain in terms of his, his substitutions as well.
Yeah, look, Southgate, as much as I might not be the biggest Southgate fan, and that even is changing as this tournament has gone on, because he's starting to do things that I can now appreciate. You have to just look at the record sometimes. Forget just watching, just look at the record. As he's come in, and you're talking about a guy that got to the semi-final, final, quarter-final, and now final of all the major tournaments, bringing the young players through. He's done well. He's done fantastically well. And I like the way in which he switched formations up. I didn't think he was capable of doing that. To go to a back three, he's done well as well. But I don't know. I think when it comes down to just those final moments, does he lack what the very top elite managers would have done?
What would you rate him?
Guardiola.
If you're going to do a rating, official rating of Southgate, let's say 1 to 5, where would you put him? In terms of not
as an international manager or as a manager?
No, as a manager. In terms of what I mean, probably put Pep Mourinho at 5.
Yes.
Right. So where would you drop him?
2.
Wow. What?
2. If Pep, Klopp, Mourinho are your 5s,
yeah,
then he has to be a 2 because you got the Angelottis. He's not better than Unai Emery would be a 4 or 3. He's not better than Emery. He's not better than Arteta. He's not better than these men. He's not better than Conte. So, and these guys are much better.
So would you say
than
De La Fuente is better than him as a manager? Would you say that?
I say that De La Fuente has been able to change the attitude and the way Spain play just like that quicker than what he's done.
So
Like I watch all the Spanish players now, and they all seem to play like they've been playing with each other for 10 years.
I agree with you.
He's just done it just like that. Whereas Luis Enrique still had him tiki-taka. De La Fuente's come and it's been immediate.
But you would know this better, is that the football culture in Spain is different from the football culture in England.
Yeah.
In football, there's the system. Mourinho has spoken about it, that there's a system they teach the young players from small. We had Mutia Adepoju who said the same
Same thing, yeah.
They teach them from small, they grow into
Even Messi also highlighted that, certain...
But you look at
For England, you don't have that, so do you blame the manager for
I
that?
agree, but this is not England of 30 years ago, where all these players are being managed at their club by English managers. All these players now are managed by Guardiola, Arteta, Klopp, top managers. So their style of football now is very suited to those managers. It's not necessarily an English culture thing. So I don't know. It seems as though they get through the door with Gareth Southgate and all that, what they've learned from Klopp and Guardiola, leaves their body. Phil Foden's one of the best players in the world.
I like the frustrations of a football fan when he's talking purely by passion.
I'm like, come on.
You know how we talk about Nigeria?
That's how we talk about that's how we talk about our national team. But I love this manager. I love what he's done. I think that I agree with Ade in terms of how he's changed Spain now. We see Spain differently. I think they're a bit more fluid compared to what it was during Luis Enrique. And I'm not comparing both of them, but you can just go to sleep and know that he would select a player based on merit, because Grimaldo had a great season. Grimaldo, in my opinion, would have started every day without me thinking. But Cucurella has stepped in and has done a yeoman's job.
Give me 5.
He's performed well.
Give me 5 on that Cucurella one.
He's performed well.
Cucurella, Gareth Southgate wouldn't put Cucurella. He wouldn't pick him.
I shouldn't have fallen for that.
He wouldn't pick Cucurella. Even Chelsea fans would say that Cucurella's been awful for Chelsea. But what do they need? A left-sided left-back. Pick a left-sided left-back. Whereas Gareth Southgate's
That's your gripe, because you didn't get that. You picked up an injured one.
Yeah,
sure, but
picked up an injured one, and then he picked up a right back that will play left back. Pick a left back. There's no left back in the old England. There's a left back.
I agree with him, and the sort of faith the manager has for his players in the semi-final. He played Jesus Navas, 38 against Mbappe.
Navas, who was known as a fleet-footed winger back in the day. Now,
if it was anybody else, they would play somebody else in that position, not Navas.
But Navas actually had a wonderful performance.
Had a good game.
That game,
had a good game up against Mbappe. And then,
who also admittedly had a poor tournament.
But you did not know which Mbappe will show up in that game, because the Mbappe created the only goal they scored. And that was it. Never went past Navas again until Navas left the pitch. He's kept faith with Laporte. So, all those things, when we think about it, it tells you how well a manager knows his players. And when you talk about Mourinho has played for every junior team in Spain to the highest level.
True.
This is a manager who knows what he can do. So when you bring him on, I know what you can do.
Fantastic stuff. Okay, now it is time for us to get to the, in quotes, special part of our show. We do have a special guest. He is known as the Special One, a legendary football manager. We have Jose Mourinho live here on SportyTV. Jose, who do you think is going to win the Euros this weekend?
The answer is obvious, 50-50. Every final is 50-50. Every team that reach a final reach for some reason, or because the team is very good, or because the players are very good. And always in a final, I always consider 50-50, independent of who is showing more quality. From the beginning that I say that England has a fantastic group of players, not a phenomenal team, but a very good group of players, not just the ones on the pitch, also the solutions coming from the bench. And Spain, for me, is being the best team from the beginning, playing as a team. Great evolution in practically a new team with players that 1 year ago they were not even national team players. And they grew up very well during the competition. They beat, of course, Germany and France, which gives them a lot of credit. So I would say that Spain is a better team than England, but England has very good players. So for me, 50-50.
All right, so Jose, let's talk about the tournament just a bit. Southgate and Didier Deschamps, coaches of England and France, have faced a lot of criticism from the media, although they got all the way to the semi-final of the tournament. Now, as a manager, do you think that despite all the performance the teams have put forward, that those criticisms are justified? And how would you deal with them in a different situation?
You know, the criticism is based on the potential of the teams. When before the tournament I was saying, for me, the candidates would be Portugal, France, and England. I was saying that based on the potential of the team. So when you have top potential and you don't reach the level that people is expecting, is something normal. I don't think anybody in Turkey or Austria or Slovenia, I don't think anybody criticized their coaches, because what they did in the tournament was good, was probably more than expectable. When we look at France and England in this case, we are speaking about the best players in the world. So it's normal. And coaches, they have to be ready for this criticism, which is part of it at the highest level.
Jose, great to see you. You look in good spirits as well. Good luck as well next season. Obviously, I know pre-season has started, so good luck in your next venture. Not that you need good luck. One big talking point.
I always need.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. One big talking point going into the Euros is about aging players. Pepe, obviously, in his 40s. Cristiano Ronaldo approaching 40. Kante still looking very, very good. How difficult is it when you have superstars, maybe like Ronaldo is a good example, you managed him, players to transition out of the squad? How difficult is that job as a manager?
For me, it's not difficult. I don't look at players' ages or players' status. I look to what the player is now and what the player can give now, which form the player is. I played Rafael Varane in Real Madrid with 18 years old in a big Champions League match against Manchester City. Easy, no problem. There is no age for players. So if you go for the young and if you go for the old, I don't think players, they have a passport. What they have is performance level. If you are good with 16, you have to play, like the kid in Spain. If you are good with 41, like Pepe, you have to play. So it's not about the age or the status. It's about the today. Football is about today. It's not about yesterday. It's about today. So today, can you perform? Great. If you are 16, you play. If you are 41, you also play.
Now, Jose, you have a knack of getting the best out of Black and African players. How would you rate African and also Nigerian football right now?
I love African players for many reasons. The main reason maybe is because it's easy for me to connect them. It's easy for me to understand them. It's easy for me to make them feel that I'm there to help them to reach their dreams, to reach their potential. so very easy by the emotional point of view. Then physically, normally, the African player, as the African athlete at every sport, has a very special DNA that makes them very strong. And then many of them, they are technically very, very gifted. So I always had African players in my teams, and normally very successful partnership.
All right, Jose. Would like to extend an open invitation to you. Everyone in Nigeria talks about you. Songs will be sung. There will be parades for you. It's an open invitation to get you into our studio to talk to us about football.
I'm happy. I've been in Nigeria already many years ago, and I felt, of course, I felt the, the passion, the love, the respect. So happy times. And I had, as you know, also some Nigerian players. I have now one, Bright Samuel.
Yeah?
And my connection with African players comes from my beginnings with Benny McCarthy in Porto, and then year after year after year, until now Bright, the last one, and Jiku, Ivory Coast. I had so many, and of course some of the best players in the world. So my connection with them is great. Every time I go to Africa, I feel it. The last time I've been in Africa was on a holiday with my family, and even on holidays separate from football, I always felt how much people care with me, and I'm very happy to give them my love too.
Now, Jose, let's talk about the final in terms of details now. Kobe Mainoo will be up against Rodri, a player that has a very wonderful record of not losing the game in over 450 days. Do you feel he'll be the success for the Spaniards in the final against England?
It's not going to be Rodri against the kids, it's being team against team. As I was saying before, for me, Spain is a better team. Is a team with a good structure, is a team with a great evolution from the beginning of the tournament. For them was much more difficult to reach the final because they had, of course, Germany and France to beat. But the structure of the team is very good. Rodri, of course, is now one of the best midfield players in the world, gives great stability to the team. But England is England, and the part of Jude Bellingham, I think he's the only one that plays abroad, but plays abroad in the biggest club in the world. All the other guys, they play in the Premier League. They are used to play together. They are used to play against each other. They are used to the physicality, the intensity, the responsibility, the pressure. So they're going to be ready for the final two. If you ask me which team I prefer by the emotional point of view, it's hard to say. Because I live in England, because my family lives in England, because I love England. But I've worked in Spain for years, and we are neighbors. Portugal and England and Spain, we are neighbors. But by the football point of view, I fancy more the way the Spanish team plays football, yeah.
One of the key players to that Spanish team is Lamine Yamal, who is outstanding, right? Player of the tournament so far. Only 16. Jose, you've managed all over the world. You've managed some fantastic young players. Have you ever managed a player like that? Someone that almost can put a whole country on the back of his shoulders, and you saw what he did against France and that special goal. Have you seen a young player like Lamine Yamal before?
I had incredible players. That's why I played them at very young ages. Of course, you don't remember because it was 2004, but I had in Porto the second youngest player ever to score in a Champions League final. So in a Champions League final, I played a kid called Carlos Alberto. He was, I think, 17, turning 18. He's still the second youngest player to score in a Champions League final. So, as I was saying before, it's not about age, it's about what you feel, what you see. I played Rafael Varane, Real Madrid, 18 years old, and since then he won everything. He was world champion, European champion, I don't know how many times. So depends on the dimension of the player in that moment. And then is the future. Then is the way they manage to stay at that level, because when you are so young and you are in the moon of football, then you have to stay there. And to stay there, you need emotional stability, you need ambition, you need the right people around you, you need the right coaching to stay there. Because when you remember, for example, Pelé so young, Maradona so young, Eusebio so young, then there is a career after that. And hopefully Lamal is surrounded by the right people, and in 10 years' time, we can have Lamal with 27, even better than he is now.
Jose, thank you so much for being a part of our show today. Thank you, and we wish you all the best
pleasure,
of luck going forward with your job at Fenerbahce.
First of all, I need the players back because the guys are on holiday. They were in the Euros, so they are in holidays.
Thank you so much, Jose.
I'm training the kids. I'm waiting for them.
Now, Jose, well, since you're still waiting for your players, would you mind coming quickly to our studios? You know, it'd be cool to have you, like Femi said, come to Nigeria, come properly to our studios here in SportyTV in Lagos.
When?
Oh, when? Okay. When, guys? I'm on the spot
For
here.
the final.
For the final, on Sunday. Come for the final on Sunday.
I play Sunday.
What?
I play a friendly. I have a friendly.
Oh, come on, Jose. Come on, Jose.
Yeah. I play against Racing Strasbourg. No chance.
Yeah, but it's only
I
a
have to
friendly
work,
with
guys.
kids.
Well, Jose, thank you so much once again. Thank you for making this interview the special interview, if you get the hint. It's amazing having you on our show. Thank you.
Thank you, Jose.
My best regards to everyone. Bye-bye.
Okay.
All right. Guys, let's just get the reaction. First of all, wow. Yeah. That's the special one. One of the best managers of all time. And he might say he has affiliations to England, but we all know he fancies Spain.
Well, I don't think the word is fancy. I think he understands the potential and the threats Spain pose in this game because, look, he's coached in Spain for many years.
Yeah.
Real Madrid, worked with Barcelona back in the day. He's got the knowledge of what they can do and already spoke about the sort of players they've got. Rodri, one of the best midfielders. But I think he cannot deny the fact that this English team have got something good going on for them. Yeah. Look, every time everyone has written of England, every time, the World Cup in 2018, the Euros in 2021, now they've written them off, but they have made it to the final, beating teams as they meet them. So I think Jose knows, and he said it's 50-50. I agree with him. Very 50-50, because I listened to you guys at the start when you guys spoke about who will win. And I'm like, even I am looking at it here, and I can't pick the winner.
Stop acting like you know, like, you have like this crystal ball.
Crystal ball.
I don't know how.
I think Jose was being kind. It's not 50-50. If we're honest, it's maybe 60-40.
Why? I'll go with 70-30 to be honest.
Why?
There is something about history in winning tournaments.
Yeah.
And this team have history in winning tournaments. There is something about breaking that barrier down. And unfortunately, as good as this England side have, they've not broken this barrier down since 1966.
True that.
They know how to win tournaments. They know what tournament football's about. And this is a new evolution of Spain as well.
Yeah.
We've seen them play so many different ways. This isn't tiki-taka anymore. This is now get the ball direct.
And yeah, exactly.
And they have winners in their team. None bigger than the man in the midfield, Rodri. Who is a winner, a sold winner. So they're favourites, no doubt about it. But, as you say, this England team can do it, but Spain are favourites. It's 60.
While I want to agree with Ade, based on what he's explained, all those winners you mentioned have never won an international tournament at that level.
For Spain?
For Spain. So this is also a first time for them. And England have been there, they've lost. When you lose, when you suffer heartbreak, you have the emotional intelligence to prepare for it a second time. There's this story we say about the Champions League, Victor, about, look, in recent time, if you play a Champions League final for the first time, you lose that one. But the next time you win, recent history shows it.
Good point.
Well,
think about Man City, think about Chelsea.
Oh, well, that's fair point.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, he says 50-50. I know his heart is tilting towards England, but he mentioned one thing, that he likes the way Spain plays football. And for a manager that we've known has a certain way of managing and style of football, it's a contrast to the usual Mourinho style of management, because Spain are very exciting, very attacking, and And he loves that.
Who knows? People may change their football philosophy. Jose is probably doing
We can see that at Fenerbahce. Who knows? Maybe.
You never can tell. Because I personally think he is evolving as a person.
As a manager?
As a manager, yes. He's evolving as a manager because the Mourinho we saw in the early 2000s is different from the Mourinho now. Yes. And it's not because of age, it's because of how he's seen football, what he's saying.
Maturity.
He has maturity. Because at Roma, he played a different brand of football, right? He still went for some of the basic things we knew Mourinho would do, a big, tall striker in front, defenders who can always ensure they do the basic thing, a goalkeeper who doesn't play out from the back. But you knew that the transition was always very solid for Mourinho at Roma. Unfortunately, it happened the way it did. And maybe a good one for Saïd Samuel because now you've got a manager like Mourinho, one of the best in the world, to coach you. So I agree with him that football from Spain is sweet. But then for Mourinho, who always says the end justifies the means.
He'll go with England. But your thoughts on his views on the final?
I like the way he said 50-50 as well. And this is where I can agree and disagree. Look, personally, I think Spain are the favourites. But Mourinho, you look at his two biggest triumphs, Porto and Inter Milan, his biggest triumphs, you always say that. Never favourites in those tournaments. But he knew, just get me to the final and let's see what I can do, and he won both finals. So I can understand what it means with, in a final, anything can happen. Because he's a manager, once you get to a final with Mourinho, anything can happen. When Tottenham let him go before their League Cup final. If it's Mourinho, you're thinking, one second, Mourinho could do this.
He could.
It's good, it's Mourinho, so I understand what he's saying. But look, Spain are favourites. Look at Spain's road to get to this tournament. I mean, Germany, the hosts, you knock them out. France, the favourites going into the tournament, you knock them out.
Beat defending champions,
you beat defending champions,
beat
Italy.
Croatia,
who are always a problem for everyone.
Third best at the World Cup.
And you didn't just beat them, you destroyed them 3-0. They're the favourites for a reason. But this England squad is full of talent. Individual talent could do something.
Victor, it's a bit difficult.
How so? How is this difficult? England, Spain.
Let me explain to you why I think it's a bit difficult and why Mourinho himself went for 50-50, my understanding.
Okay.
Because most of the recent winners of the Euros have not been the most expansive sort of football. Not even Spain, when they won it. Spain, what they did was create...
Which Spain? 08 or 2012?
That's a good question.
2012 Spain.
No.
Listen, 2012 Spain.
2012 Spain beats Italy 4-0 in the final.
Italy capitulated.
That was for me. That was
what I'm saying is because think about Spain 2010 World Cup. They won that was the same. It was the same manager who took both teams. That's why I'm picking that team.
Okay.
They won by being compact at the back and then breaking their opponents going forward. Portugal in 2016 was the same thing, right? France were the odds-on favourites.
True.
But Portugal relaxed weight. We've seen 2004, we always mention right here.
Greece.
I thought the Czech Republic were the best team in that tournament.
They were the best.
Right? But eventually, it was the team that knew how to be pragmatic. And that's what England knows. England are masters of it. We've seen the game against Slovakia. They were a few seconds. But England will never drop and say, you know what, we're out. They kept throwing things forward.
But would you say this, just a quick throwback to the England of old, would you say that was what was lacking from a different era of English football, whereby you had this never say die attitude?
Honestly, I thought that the England of old, the golden generation...
Even before that, let's talk about Lineker and Co.
I don't think they had a squad as good as this. Honestly, I looked at the bench at some of those old teams. We marvelled at the 11 and maybe... down to 12, 13, 14. I look at this England squad now, and it could be Ollie Watkins coming on, it could be Ivan Toney, it could be anything happening. I think the squad's... You know how good the squad is when you realise that Grealish and Maddison are somewhere on the beach.
Yeah.
That's when you know how good this squad is. So I feel like this squad's got players that will just keep on fighting now to the end because they know if they don't, on the bench is coming someone that could do something.
Now let's talk about Mourinho's thoughts on players transitioning out of the national team, or even just out of football in general. Of course, players in focus, Pepe, Ronaldo. But I've also mentioned that Mourinho has done well with players who are advanced. He did it at Inter. Even at Roma, he had a certain Smalling who everybody has forgotten about, and he went on to win the Conference League with these players. So your thoughts on that? Because it seems like his sides, it doesn't matter the age. If you're 100 years old and you can play football, Mourinho will play you.
It's not that easy. Mourinho made it sound easy, and because it's Mourinho, we'll accept it. Obviously, the big question mark here is Ronaldo. This is the biggest talking point this whole tournament, and Roberto Martinez's refusal to drop him. When you've done what Ronaldo has done for Portugal, it's so difficult to remove a player like that, I think, from the squad. I think he had an opportunity when Ronaldo moved to Saudi Arabia, said, OK, the door's now closed, but you open the door back to him. Once you open the door to him, you've let him back in. And we've seen with some of these players in this tournament, age is just a number. Kante has been sensational. Pepe's been incredible. That moment where Thuram tried to run him,
and he
kept up with him.
And this was like late in the game, by the way.
90th minute,
Yeah,
he
true,
kept up with him.
true,
So
true.
I think it's hard to transition older players out of the squad. It's what kind of manager are you? Are you Roberto Martinez who can't do it, or are you a Didier Deschamps that will certainly do it?
True.
And unfortunately, Roberto Martinez is on the softer side.
You know, I agree as well when I think about it, because I was going through Mourinho have been able to transform and transit out of football. Zanetti, Inter, I thought Zanetti was solid. Luis Figo,
Lucio.
right? Lucio, you can mention all those names. Even when he went to Chelsea, had a few older players who you need those sort of players to get the dressing room together. We also had Real Madrid as well, where he had Casillas, and even when he was trying to take Casillas out of the team, there was a different process. So I do agree that it's a bit difficult, especially when you know what the person can do. Because look, you need someone who can scream. Ade talks about someone who can scream. You've got Terry. If Terry tells you do this, you do it immediately, because you know Terry's been there, done that. When Mourinho went back to Chelsea, remember Terry had problems with Conte the previous season. Mourinho comes in, that's the first name, and he went on to have a good performance to win, the player of the season. So I think it's a bit difficult. It's a bit difficult, but I agree that Martinez has not shown enough character. And I say this because you don't play Ronaldo for 240 minutes.
When you've got Diego Jota on the bench.
And you've got Ramos on the bench.
It's crazy.
And then you take out Bruno Fernandes. Look, Victor, you know I criticize Bruno Fernandes a lot, but I didn't get the rationale behind taking on one of your most creative players.
If not the most creative player.
Give him a new role. Give him a new role. Maybe Ronaldo isn't getting into those balls. Try a new runner. Ronaldo doesn't have that pace, so he can run.
He doesn't have it anymore, yeah.
Get Jota, who can run. Get Ramos, who can run.
You know, it's going to be interesting. It won't happen this tournament, but if Gareth Southgate does stay on, I think he's going to have a Harry Kane sort type of issue like this as well, eventually.
Yeah. Well, but you think he's going to stay on, even if we win or lose? You think he's going to stay on?
I think he will want to stay on. If you were you want to stay on.
I thought he mentioned, he said that he will leave after the Euros. He gave that hint.
I think everybody in England wants him to leave, right? Except the people who give him the job. And this will be leave at the highest.
We have a very stinky attitude in England, as though we've won every single tournament like Brazil or France. Like, we've got a manager that's got us to a final, a semi-final, a quarter-final, a final, and we're like, go. We're asking him to go, like another manager. Like there's a list of managers that can come in and replace him.
A lot.
But let's talk about even the old players now within these two teams. For Spain, they have like the oldest with Jesus Navas, who has been remarkable. You think he can make a difference in that final if he starts?
I think Carvajal comes back to the team immediately.
Yeah, call the red card, yeah.
Carvajal comes back into the team. If Carvajal comes back into the team, you've got that sort of experience, someone who's won it. And so, yeah, I think that's an upgrade. However, for England, not a lot of players. Maybe Harry Kane. Harry Kane probably be one of the most senior players who is in the starting 11. I don't think that you transit that player out. I still think Harry Kane. Remember, this is not the first player. Harry Kane has retired. Maybe he left the national team because couldn't go past Harry Kane.
I think Kyle Walker might have an issue. Yeah. Honestly, I do believe eventually. I think if Reece James has his fitness problems sorted next season, I think Reece James and Trent will be pushing Kyle Walker.
Now, of course, this involves all of us as Africans. And of course, Mourinho being one manager that loves his African players. And he mentioned that he loves African players. Now, obviously, we have the stigma of African players being either strong and powerful, and that's the thought pattern. But we have very skillful players that can make a difference. Of course, you know, Nigeria has JJ Okocha. You have a very wonderful finisher in Samuel Eto'o, who also played for Mourinho at one point. So your thoughts on his love for African players, and with the evolution of football, do you think he can still count on African players to make a difference for him? Like you mentioned, we have a Nigerian there, Bright Osai Samuel, who's a fullback. Or could be a wing back, who knows now, under Mourinho.
He will play, that's all it matters.
You know, obviously, look, Mourinho will look at his time and what the African players have done for him.
True.
And they've always never let him down. Always. Even his love for Tammy Abraham in Roma.
Yeah.
The players have always stepped up for him regardless. And you know what? He mentioned sort of the players that, you know, their DNA is strong and fast, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think they're stigmatized.
The stigma is this, that, okay, we're just big, strong, but we're not technical.
No, that's not true.
But that's the view.
When the Premier League
I think it's that they say that we're not intelligent in terms of playing that intelligence role. And I think Kante has shut that down immediately.
True.
And I know Kante, France, but you know, he's an African player.
I
think he shut that down. Yaya
Toure was very big and powerful. It was like a
surprised a lot of people. And Drogba showed us that what African players can do. Drogba, very intelligent on and off the ball, those runs. He's a master of everything. The brilliant one, the dark arts, he gets everything together. Remember Michael Essien, played for Mourinho twice. at Chelsea,
Real Madrid.
went to Real Madrid. It's because of that sort of understanding, that love. That
Let's not forget Mikel as well.
Mikel
let's not
also
forget
played.
Obi, please.
He mentioned, and the fact that Mourinho talked about all these players by name tells you the sort of relationship he had with them, that he remembers. He spoke about Benny McCarthy, right? This was a player who he brought into FC Porto, and they won the Champions League. So I respect Mourinho for his style of football. It has gotten him to where he is now, and I think he's big.
All right, now let's focus on this, the final, and say a big thank you to, of course, Ade Ladipo for being a part of our show today. Femi Faraway, king of predictions now.
Oh yeah, that's who I am. Watch out for Sunday, guys. Watch out for Sunday. It's going home.
Of course, we don't know if it's going to go home just yet. We have that big game on Sunday, the biggest game in the Euros, coming live on SportyTV. You don't want to miss that one. Mark your calendars. And of course, we have something called a watch party as well. Remember, we had a predictor challenge. And of course, the winners will join us live in the studios as well here in Lagos. Remember to be a part of this conversation on social media: X, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and of course, also TikTok. Let's know your thoughts. The big game, Spain taking on England. Once again, many thanks to the gentlemen in the studio. Big thank you to the crew that has made this possible. I say this all the time: be good and be safe. Keep it good as a sports fan. It is bye from us and bye for now.